you're on.
Yes. Let me make sure that.
Mike. Hello. Hi, Mike. It's been a while since last time I saw you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, but he didn't have this.
There we go. Hi there.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, I've been gone for a year.
Ah, is that what I was saying?
I understand you solved all the problems now.
Now.
I'm waiting to see. Thanks. Good work.
Yeah, well, thank you. Good to see you, Mike.
Thank you. Same here. Let's see.
Yeah, I did turn on the first one. Eventually. Did you stop your phone?
Mm-hmm. Is yours the
Here you go, Mark. Thank you, Whit. Thank you, Matt. For being.
Okay. So welcome everyone. I see a lot of faces I recognize and a few I don't. The meeting will begin in 8 minutes or so. We'll let everyone start jumping on the call. Yeah, it's good to have everyone here.
Yeah, maybe something we can do while we wait is maybe we can ask about the people we don't know, really. So Laura,
Parkland?
No, Laura is Falmouth, right?
Oh, that's with Parkland.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe. And then Mike is with La Morinda Village, and Mara, that I don't know. You know Mara?
With Parkland. We have quite a few.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mara and Laura with Parkland.
Hmm.
We have Joanne. Mike with San Diego. So yeah, perfect. I will go ahead and share my screen to get us started.
Something that I tried. Have you ever tried this one? For the demo is good.
This one?
Because sometimes when we're doing the demo, it's you need to navigate around this thing.
Yeah.
But it's good to see. I mean, in the meantime, we can have that.
I don't know why it does this. Oh.
Well,
Okay, cool. So we'll run the chat for now. The thing is that we both say the Health Village team.
yeah, because the thing is that I believe we're both logged in with the same thing. Ooh, I can post something to the chat, and you can open the chat, see who is it posting it to. Or I don't know what else I can do. Everyone. Chat.
Oh, that's two.
Is not to use the chat. Questions anytime during the family. Go. That's right. Yeah, so we're so funny. Why they did good argument.
You could log out and then join it, not from the doesn't matter. It's too much work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't know. So maybe it's good this way. Then we're both logged in because when they write to help with the team, actually we can both see it. I mean, I can see it while you're presenting.
I don't think so because if you go back to mine, you can see which one's it.
Oh,
yeah.
and you're the host?
Yes.
And I'm not?
Yes.
Oh. Where am I? Here. Oh, participant.
And then see how it's Health Village.
Oh, I can rename it.
I can rename it. I know. Okay, perfect. Okay. As for some housekeeping as we start the meeting, when at noon or in the next 4 minutes when we start, I will mute everyone. For those of you that are familiar with Zoom, you can choose the bar on the bottom of the screen that allows you to unmute yourself at any time. be monitoring the chat. So the chat will be monitored from Manuel's computer. So if you want to send him a private message or to the group, that's always welcome during the meeting. And then same thing for questions throughout the meeting. This is definitely a discussion. So at any time, please stop us.
Type proceedings in the Capitol's basement rather than public proceeding.
Perfect. All right.
We still have a few minutes before the meeting starts. You can see who's in the meeting. I see there is someone from Villages OKC. I don't know who from OKC is on the call, if you're listening. I don't know. Maybe not listening yet. A little early.
Perfect.
And we have Ramela from Oregon City.
60 million Americans in the 2016 election.
Someone has the radio
Hi,
on.
Dolly.
Perfect.
Who's he with?
San Diego.
Oh, good. Yeah, Chris, is Barnstable maybe? Okay.
16.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Margie from DC.
Hi, Margie.
And it's Rick.
Hi, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
I'm from somewhere.
Somewhere in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome. I know that we have, I already mentioned this, but for those joining, we have quite a few new faces and some familiar faces. So looking forward to welcoming and having everyone here with us.
You should have Joanne maybe do
Yeah.
the introduction. Let me see, what time is it? It's 58. We're 2 minutes early. We need to wait for people that are deciding on Jan.
Okay.
So yeah, I see a message from Tessa on the chat. Of course, we're glad to have you on the call. Another village in Ohio, and plenty of villages in Ohio doing great things. Thank you for joining.
The audio is really poor.
Oh,
From your audio is really poor.
Let's see if we can do something about it.
Good on my side. Everybody's coming through. Really.
I hear you guys.
Okay, well then, Margie, probably maybe you need to see the connection in terms of the speed.
Possibly if Margie went out and came back in again, it might change.
Do you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I can hear you, but it's garbled. I took it off speaker. Now I'll have to take it off speaker and see if that helps.
Yeah.
But you're on speaker, so which I understand why.
Yeah.
Shall we get started?
We can get started. I think maybe Joanne wants to say something, but you can start the meeting.
Yeah, perfect. So welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. This is the Helpful Village release webinar. Our coordinator, Joanne from Seattle area or Bellevue, is our national coordinator, and I'll let her go over some of the reminders.
Thanks. Thank you, Sydney. This is Joanne from Eastside Neighbors Network in Bellevue. And this first slide we just put up here as a reminder to everyone of what, how to get in touch for specific purposes, and the meeting schedule as well. And these are always included, these are always included in the webinar recordings, so that if you forget something, you can go to the webinar link and remind yourself, or you can also go to Slack. Someone's got the background racket going on.
Yeah, actually,
that's you guys, I'll bet. But I did want to say to anyone who's new, the Helpful Village Slack I guess you call it a platform or tool, is really a useful way to communicate. So be sure to get yourself signed up in there, and it's very simple to use, very intuitive. The other thing to keep in mind is that the improvement requests, we have a form for that. So you can just click on that link or just type in ask.helpfulvillage.com, and it takes you to a little form that asks you what your question or issue is. And we're using Slack more and more, so maybe Sydney or Manuel wants to comment on that.
Mhm.
But for little things, Slack seems to be okay, but for longer term improvement requests, if you want Helpful Village, the form is a good way to submit that. Oops.
Perfect.
Into a spreadsheet that keeps track of all the requests, and then somehow magically Manuel decides from all of those what to do next. And Sydney and her associates have put together documentation, videos, everything. Those are all in the Google Drive. And from this link, or a link that you can find in Slack, you should be able to go right to the place where the training and support documents are housed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is Margie. Can everybody be on mute except the person speaking? Because I hear clacking and clicking, and the volume is very poor. Someone wrote in the chat
Yes.
that they can't hear. Also,
I'm going to mute everyone right now. I was letting Joanne finish before I muted everyone. So I'll go ahead and mute everyone. People can unmute themselves down in the bottom.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. So maybe if I can have a minute, and then you can start. But the mute thing is we mute everybody so that there's no background noise. But anyone at any time can, unmute themselves and, ask questions, etc. So don't hesitate to do it. It's just about, the people that are not talking and have background noise. So that's the only thing.
Perfect. There is a couple other things that I did want to mention. So there is two different kinds of webinars. So there is a Helpful Village release webinar, which is hosted by Helpful Village. And on our team, we go over the new improvements coming to the system, what changes we've made, answer questions, things like that. Then there's also a Village to Village Network hosted webinar. This is a peer-to-peer based webinar. It is done through Village to Village Network. It does require registration and a membership through them. That was the webinar that was canceled. It was scheduled for the exact same time as today. So I know there was some confusion. Hopefully we were able to clear it up. So the next Helpful Village release webinar will be November 20th, the third Wednesday of the month. And then the Village to Village peer-to-peer webinar will be November 27th. And so that is done through V2V. So perfect. I will go ahead and...
Sydney,
yes.
May I interrupt to just say that November 27th is the day before Thanksgiving. Are they really going to hold a meeting that day?
Mm-hmm.
I am not sure. I did see the same thing when I looked at the calendar. For now, I have not checked with them, but I'll shoot Travis an email with Village to Village Network and double check, and then I'll post it on the Slack for those of you. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's see here. Okay, so going over our agenda, we'll start with some news, a Slack update. We'll then go over any documentation that's been added, and then we'll go over the good stuff, the release notes that will be coming to the platform. So these will be the new features. And then we'll also go over the items that we'll be working on for next month in November. Perfect. I know we already made this announcement last month, but for those of you who weren't here, Colin is new to our team. He is a software engineer. He is then on the right-hand side of the screen next to Manuel. He will be doing tech work, working with Manuel, and then Walker is on the left-hand side next to me, and he was working on the customer front and business front side. So just wanted to do a quick reminder to welcome Colin, and I'm sure some of you will be able to meet him here in the future. So, all right, Slack. I know Joanne mentioned this a little bit. So for those of you who are aware and not aware, Slack is an online platform that we use to intercommunicate among villages, among our Helpful Village team. I post updates, reminders, notices, answer questions. It's a fabulous platform. It's free to join. It's a great way. Every month we feature one of our users. This is Sarah Fisher from ION. We got to see her when we were in Chicago for the national conference. She's a riot. Yeah, as a reminder for Slack, it's extremely important that you put your name and what village you're with in your profile, as we can see here. The more information that is available when you're either reporting a bug, asking a question, or saying who you're with, the easier, the quicker, and the more the easier is I can provide the correct information. Sometimes when people come to me, we're like, well, I have this question and it happened one time, but I don't remember anything about it. It makes it almost impossible for me to be of assistance. So keeping that in mind and then moving forward, that will be something to remember. If you do not have access to Slack or are interested in learning more about Slack, please email support@helpfulvillage.com and we'll be able to assist you. All right, perfect. Just a reminder again, as Joanne mentioned, might not be the day before Thanksgiving. I will reach out and I will post on Slack and find out, let you know what I find out. Perfect. I know we've gone over this a number of months. We have a new address. So for those of you that are mailing checks to Helpful Village for your invoices, this is our new address. So I will send an email for those of you that have sent in to our old address. Just as a reminder, for most of you, this is, beating a dead horse. So we'll go on to the next. Training videos. So there is a continued, I've continued to work on training documents, training videos. Helpful Village does have a Google Drive that contains all of these past meetings, all of these past slides, all of these recordings. And so if you ever want to watch previous meetings, you can. We also I have training videos that you can use for your members, for your volunteers, and for your admin, as well as documentation. These links can be found on Slack. You can also email support@helpfulvillage.com and they will be able to send these to you as well. So just a quick reminder. Release notes, the guts, yay. All right, so I know you wanted to mention a little bit about these notes and how they will be coming to Partial Villages.
So before we start, we're gonna discuss next what are the improvements we have made this month. But before we talk about each one of these improvements, I want to let you know that last month upgrade and release was a very large one. We were upgrading servers. We're putting all villages on fresh new servers. So that usually helps with security and also speed of execution, but it obviously is a lot of work on our end. So what happened last month is that we migrated roughly half of the villages to the new release, and then on this month we are migrating the other half. Actually, what we're going to do is that we're going to migrate the half that has not been migrated over this weekend, and for the villages that have been migrated already, they need to wait one extra week before they see the release that we're showing today. So that's just a way to for us to manage the workload of starting all fresh new servers, upgrading the security for everybody. So these kind of last month and this month are a little special in terms of, starting with fresh new machines.
Perfect. All right. So
we want to do a mute all first. If you can. There you go.
Okay. Perfect. The biggest one, spam filter.
Yes. Yes, so we have heard from several villages, right? It's like that they receive messages like the one that you see there. Sometimes, people try to sell stuff on the internet. They use the application forms or the contact forms of the village. And usually it's to sell stuff, right? Or scam of some sort. And lately we were even receiving stuff like this, where just letters. I don't know why people spend money, bothering other people with something that is totally useless. But the good news is that we have, taken action, and we have implemented a new spam filter on the server, and that will be coming with the new release, over this weekend or the weekend after. Can tell you a little bit more about what it's doing. One of the things it does is that it's calculating it's kind of detecting robot behavior. So these spammers and robots, usually what they do is that it's not a person on the other end writing these things. It's just a robot that is doing very quickly, submitting these forms on thousands or tens of thousands, if it's not millions of places on the internet. So they do that very quickly. So our spam filter uses several things. One of them is that if the form is filled out in 0.05 seconds, it's probably not a human doing it, so we're discarding it. There is other detections that the robot will fall in some of these traps, and essentially our expectation is that 95 to 98% of the spam we're receiving will disappear with this new spam filter that we are installing on the software. So that's the good news about our war against spam.
Yay! I know, I'm sure a lot of you get a lot of spam calls on your phone too. I was listening to a podcast. They're coming out with new stuff, so hopefully spam will be something of the past. All right. One of the features this month is we are now displaying the total number of people in all groups. So this started shortly with, initially some priority groups such as active members, active volunteers, and then we've moved this across the platform. Also, PDFs finally open, yay! I know this has been something that our tech team has been working incredibly hard on for the past couple months. Now we have it that PDFs will automatically open for newsletters, for documents, things like that, and CSV, reports will download, and that was an issue that we had incurred, I think, last month. So that will be a very, very welcomed release. Now, this was mentioned to us a couple months ago that when a member was filling out a service request, their member needs that were saved within their profile were not being populated. However, when an admin filled out a service request, it was. That has now been updated. And so this is great for if a member, has directions such as I have a walker, please ring the doorbell twice, park in the driveway, things like that. It won't be something that they need to hand type every time they ask for a service request. It will be populated. Now, I know this isn't a very pretty picture. It's not an updated picture that I used. I didn't have time to grab one. But we are working on MailChimp syncing issues. So I know for those of you who are synchronized with MailChimp, there has been some hiccups in some of the recent synchronization. We have been working through that. That is something that we will continue to work through and have it work more smoothly. But now our system will be able to synchronize and then let you know what errors there were, what emails caused any issues.
Yes. So if I can add a little something here. The way we were working before is that we were synchronizing the contacts to the mailing list on MailChimp one by one. But sometimes, there can be a typo. And what happened is that if someone had an email address that was not spelled right, if you have a comma instead of a dot, or if you're using an email address that MailChimp doesn't believe is a real one, like, Sydney@example.com. Basically, MailChimp was refusing that person, was saying, well, there is an error. I don't believe we can synchronize. This doesn't look like an email address. We refuse. So, but what we were doing before is that we would stop synchronizing the rest of the list. It's like, oh, there was an error, we stop. The improvement we bring on this release this month is that if there is a problem with a person, well, obviously we skip that person. We're going to list the error on the page, but we keep synchronizing the list. So that's going to help, synchronizing the MailChimp list for those that had problems. And then Sydney also said next month, we're still working, and one of the major updates for next month is having improvements for the MailChimp synchronization. So we did a little fix here, and more improvements are coming on next month.
Perfect. So I know this was a big one as well for a number of people, especially as your village grows and the time passes, being able to see years for when service requests were originally on the live platform. We were not showing the year, so now you'll be able to see years when it's something that's now not within this year to date. So we'll also
maybe if I can add something. The thing is that when it's for past years, we're now showing the year. It's much easier to recognize. But when it's for the current year, or for the next few days, it makes more sense to hide the year and just say what's the day of the week. So now we're doing something smarter. If it's a service request that is open for next week, well, then we're saying it's Wednesday next week on the October 13th. And if it's an old request, well, you don't, it's not as important which day of the week, so we prefer displaying the year. So this is an improvement we have done based on some feedback from, Taos Elders, which is a village in New Mexico.
We also, I know we had mentioned this last webinar, but there were some issues. Capital City in Austin, Texas is a village that we work with, and they have a continuous monthly membership where these members are automatically paying a credit card fee for their membership, and it just continues every single month. They were appearing in an admin email that we send out on the 25th of the month, letting you know who's coming up to expire. And so they used to be included, and that wasn't accurately reflecting the reality, and so we have now made changes to that. So for any of you that also have continuous memberships, that will reflect correctly. Now, do you want to talk about automatic monthly memberships?
Yes, so we have a demo today that is going to talk a little bit more about these monthly payments. In the past, some of the villages had the monthly payments activated, where basically you can, charge members on a one-time fee, like a yearly fee or a monthly fee. Now we have added the possibility to do that for all villages. So all villages that have Stripe activated, when there is a new release, they will be able to activate monthly payments if they so desire. But we will be talking a little bit more about this during the live demo today.
Perfect. All right, so we're actually going to jump right into the live demo.
Okay, perfect. Now is the moment where we switch computers with Sydney, and I'll go to the browser to show you a live demo of the platform. So we have two major upgrades this release. One of them is the membership management. So maybe I should start there. And the other one is, we call it more power to the admin. So we have added more possibilities to customize your village. So I want to start basically with the configurations, really. Before I do that, let me see here on the admin feature. So this admin menu is only visible to people that have admin rights, right? So this is the menu that where there's people management, that you have active members, former members. This has not changed. Services management. But now we have changed a little bit the structure of this menu. We used to have here a settings area that was becoming very large, because we have here the editable pages, the configuration of the different memberships, kind of a ton of things that we were adding over time. So we have decided to reorganize the settings in a much more structured and organized way. And this is what I want to show you now. So basically, when you click on settings, now there is this new menu that you have not seen before, where you will find some of the settings that were accessed before through the admin menu. So you will now find them here under these different categories, and also a list of new settings that you can use and explore. So let's go over that a little bit. So here on the website configurations, you find these old friends like the menu manager that allows you to add more pages to your menu, or the list of editable pages of your website. Those are pre-existing features. Now here on the website settings, now we have put here the logo and layout settings. So if you want to change the logo on your website or add a header image, you can do it from here. And are the settings for the search engine optimization, which is optimization you can use for better Google results. If you come in here and you put, for example, the name of your city and your state, etc., when people are looking for a village in Los Angeles, let's say, well, then that will help your Google search results. So these settings are now organized here. They were available before. Now here there's another tab that showing the contact information of the village that will be used on the contact form. So the address, if you have one, public email, the Facebook, if your village has a Facebook group. And then here you will see also what are the settings of the admin that is currently set up on the website. And if you have someone that is managing membership or a treasurer or something, you can define more specialized roles here. If your village doesn't have a membership manager or a treasurer or an events manager, all emails will always come back to admin. If you have a specialized role, the email will go to the specialized role. Okay, so now we're entering something that I wanted to show you, is that we are giving to the admins more power in terms of settings they can manage. there is a members directory in Helpful Village, right? And before we were asking you to send us an email saying, well, I would like to have the email address included in the members directory or not. And then we were changing those settings for you in the background. Now we give the admins the possibility to do it themselves. So if you want to add the physical address, or if you want to add the email address on your members directory, you can now do it and just save those settings. Now, it's quite the same thing for many other settings that we're managing for you in the background. So, for example, if you want to say that when you're creating a new event, you want the default date to be that anyone can register, or maybe that members can register, well, then you do that here. Here, for example, some villages were asking, in their events, they were asking a question about transportation options. If the person that wanted to participate wanted to, be helped with transportation, or if they do the transportation themselves, or if they can take someone else, or if their events had social media buttons, etc. Well, you understand the principle. Some of these settings have kind of, names that are a little bit kind of geeky still, but I know Sydney has done a great job providing descriptions of each one of these settings, and they will come along when we put the new release on the server starting this weekend. So let's just go over, some of these tabs so you get more familiarized with different things you can configure. For example, here, some villages have, when they're doing service requests, you can choose different things. You can choose that your member is able to connect to the website and add a service request, so the member can open a service request. Or if you don't want the member to do it, but only the admins can do it, you can choose this other setting where your members cannot create service requests, but the people with admin rights can do it. So you ask your member to send an email to those admins. And the third option, which is the member can go on the website, put a request, but the request is not visible to volunteers until an admin validates it. So all these are settings that were pre-existing, and some villages were using them already, but just, you had to ask us to modify those. For example, here is another example. When there is a matched volunteer, we were sharing instructions with the volunteer on the confirmation page and on the email. And there is a default when we create a new village, like saying, well, we ask that you call the member within the next 24 hours, but some villages operate in a different way. So you can come in here and edit your instructions, say, well, we ask you, we will call the member and let the person know from the office, you have nothing to do, or other instructions. So you can customize all these messages. So basically, as we were saying before, more power to the admins.
Yadi, quit. Yadi.
You want to check the... Yes.
Come here.
Hello, someone had a question, maybe? No, there was no question. So I think we are muting. We don't know when someone speaks if they unmuted themselves or just joined the meeting. Just muted. Maybe you can mute for that now? You cannot. Okay, well, anyways. We can keep going through these different settings. For example, you can choose here. Some villages choose to send a confirmation email to the member when there is a service request that is matched by a volunteer. Some people don't want to send an email to the member and they prefer making a phone call. So these settings are different things that you can come in and look for your village, what is the specific thing you want. Some villages here have a max number of requests per month. So some villages say, well, you can ask as many things as you want, and maybe other villages say, well, our members are allowed to make 10 requests per month, or this number of requests per household per month. So all these are different settings. We are providing better explanation of these settings, and if you have questions, you can let us know. But just the important thing is that that you have now possibility to update these settings.
Before you go on that configuration, could you show us what is the very first one that you have on the checklist? No, keep going down the checklist. What is max one per member?
Yeah, exactly. What I was saying, some of these settings are impossible to understand from the technical name. So this is what I was saying, that Sydney has better descriptions. I can explain you this one. It's something we had in Marin. Usually the smart email that goes out to volunteers at 10 a.m., right, has the most important requests first, those that have the important label, also the new requests that have been entered into the system more recently, and then chronologically we send those emails. But what we realize is that sometimes, there is a person in a village that requests for a lot of things, and we had some emails going out where you had 3 requests for the same person, right, in that same email to volunteers. So if you activate this option, the email that goes out to volunteers will have maximum 1 request per member. So let's say that the person, let's call it Lucette, right, has asked for 3 things. The 3 things are important, so they would go out in the email address. If you activate this setting, the email to volunteers will only have 1 Lucette request, and then requests from other members.
I get it, and that's very helpful for us.
Yeah, okay, great. Glad you like it. It's so funny, we have done these improvements for villages based on real situations. So this is an example of Marin that had this question, or this sometimes other villages that said, well, why are we not notifying these members? So we were doing these improvements for some villages, but I think this is a great opportunity today to share these possibilities with all villages, so that you all do what works best for your village. Okay, so prospects is not too much here. MailChimp is just MailChimp settings, so I don't need to show, but I wanted to show you reports. Because you remember last month we showed the executive report, which was our announcement at the conference. And basically it's a PDF report that you will want to bring to the board meeting, right? Saying, well, this is how many members we have recruited, the evolution in terms of members, of services that have been completed, etc. And one request we received last month is that this PDF report to be configurable. What I mean is that some villages found the information in that report very useful, let's say for membership, but some villages, let's say they don't do events. So they now can go in here and say, well, on my executive report for the board, I don't need the events information. Or maybe I want the events information, but I don't want to see the pie chart for the event categories. Or the average attendance doesn't really make much sense in my report, so I can remove it and just save these settings, and that will customize the your executive report or your report for the board based on what you want to show. So if you don't want to have donations, you don't put them. If you want to put the number of payments, you get this point. You can basically customize this executive report. And then the last tab that I have here is about other settings that are more general to the village. That are, usually these are related to one of the modules in Healthful Village, like membership or events. And these are other settings that are important. For example, one setting that is important is hub and spoke. About this model where basically, some villages serve kind of 7 or 8 towns, or 5 or 6 towns with a centralized office. So this setting, we believe, is very useful because it allows to put, share some administrative staff in one place, but serve a larger geographical area. When you set that up, basically you set up these local villages or neighborhoods so that you can have volunteers in a town or neighborhood helping other members in that same neighborhood. So you can set up local villages if you're a hub and spoke village. So today, this is a setting where we are showing you if you are or you are not a hub and spoke village. But we are not allowing at this point to activate or deactivate, because that totally changes the operations of the village. So at this point, for this one, you would need to let us know if you want to activate the hub and spoke. We can do that for you, but we want to be careful about this one. Same thing for here. For example, the currency is a currency for payments. So there are some settings that we're showing, but that we don't allow to change, because obviously if you change the US dollars to Australian dollars or euros or something, it's going to be a mess in the database, etc. So some of these settings you can see, but not edit, and many other settings you can edit. This is another one, geocoding enable. Is we have a premium feature that we showed, I think it was 2 months ago, where basically you can show where your members are located on Google Maps. But this is a premium feature that also requires a reasonable fee. I think it's about $5 a month. So same thing. If you want to activate that, you can let us know, and then we'll be connected to that. And now we can move on to membership. And actually, we're going to membership from here too. So usually we used to have membership management under settings and then membership management. But now settings takes you here, and then here you can go to the membership tab. And then on the membership tab, you have the config membership button. Right? So we can go in here, because that's the other major improvement we did this month. That we were cleaning up our membership management this month. So you will have your membership name, so Founders Household, household monthly, individual monthly, etc. But now we have done a better design of memberships that have both a one-time fee for a year, let's say, or a monthly fee. And you can have some memberships that have, for example, individual social monthly only has a monthly fee and there is no year-long fee. So you can choose whatever type of membership works for you and then activate or not activate the membership fee. Now, I want to show you how this works when you go edit one of these membership types, because we have redesigned this screen also. So here is the same. You have the same name of the membership. If you want to create a new membership, you would create it here. The next field is about how many people you can have in this membership. So usually, if it's an individual membership, this would be 1. If it's a household, then you can have 2. And we will be trying to have more than 2 people in the future. We have heard from Cheverly Village, for example, in Maryland, about households where there's a husband and wife and also the mother. And so we don't see any problem in that. So we will, we're modifying the software to allow more than 2 people have, memberships. Now, all these 3 fields existed before, kind of the name, how many members, for how long you're committing to your membership. We have redesigned the interface here to have a better, display of the payment options, which is for each membership type, you can activate the one-time payment, right? So, for example, here, the person who pays, or the household can pay $500 for 12 months. And then here, you can also choose to pay monthly payments, activated or deactivated, and here you would pay $50 a month. There's another option that Sydney mentioned before. It's about Capital City Austin, for example, have this option. If you have a member that wants to keep renewing their Village membership, for as long as they live, you can check this button also, and that will automatically extend the expiration date. You have a possibility also to show or not show this application, this membership types on the application forms, and the other option is archiving them, which makes it impossible to add new members. For example, you had members, let's say you had founders membership type, right, that happened in the past, but you are not accepting any other founders membership because now your village may be 5 years old. Well, then you can check this box and just say. So yeah, hopefully when you have this new release, you will find it much easier to configure your membership types and then activate or deactivate the monthly payments or the one-time payments for each one of these membership types. And with this, basically we have finished the live demo that we had anticipated for today. These are the big news: the membership types and the configurations. Now I wanted to end this segment with a saying. Is like, you may have heard that when you have seen one village, you have seen one village which was saying, well, villages are very local and operate in a different ways. We know about that, and we think these configurations allow villages to basically offer the best service to their local community, and customize their service. And with this, we can switch computers again. If there are any questions about the demo, this would be a good time. But you need to remember to unmute yourself because we will not be hearing you otherwise. Or use the chat. Oh, there's a question in the chat.
Yeah, hello. I got into it about 10 minutes late, unfortunately. Did you do anything to cover what an events calendar looks like? Because we have trouble with ours.
Okay.
I can show you. Mm-hmm. If we come here, there's 2 different ways to look at the events. You can look at an events list that goes this way.
Right.
And then you can also look at the events calendar.
Okay.
And then you'll be able to see it this way.
Okay. Who can enter events on those things? Just admin, or is there an option for a person to add a quick event and not screw up the whole background of the calendar?
Yes. So we have a management rights. So when we're looking here at a person's profile, mine specifically. When we come down here to rights management, we see events manager. So someone with these roles would be able to create and edit events.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, an individual member who has a quick event that has come up, they'd like to put it on the calendar, they cannot do that unless this button has been clicked on their name?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Fine. Another question. Some of our people have poorer vision, like me. And one of the advantages of the calendar we do have is that you can blow up the print, so you don't have to squint at a spreadsheet style, font. Do you have a capability for someone to blow up the font of that calendar if they don't have the ability to zoom in on, like an Apple? I can do that on my Apple, but if you don't have an Apple, you're tied to whatever the font size is on your resident calendar. Do you have any facility to allow one to just explode the print, make it bigger?
Mm-hmm. So it's a great point. We are very sensitive to accessibility, and we are a company about villages, so all our customers are older adults, and accessibility is important. So one thing we do is that usually tend to use large fonts. For example, you go to the events list and select one of those. Here it is the description of an event where we think the font is already quite big.
Uh-huh.
I see what you're saying. Obviously, the way I do it usually is that you can use kind of use the size of the font with a Mac or your computer.
Sure.
But I see your point, and we take good note about eventually adding a button to increase the size of the fonts for that page.
Right.
So we hear you.
Well, that'd be a good facility. Look forward to. Is this what I would see on the screen? This size?
Mm-hmm.
That's the right size. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that works for me. So that probably works for most people. When you're back on the list, though, would you go back to the calendar, monthly calendar? That sort of works. And there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess if those could be a little bigger, that would be helpful. The others seem okay to me. Anyway.
That's a good point. And another thing I wanted to say here, because one is the size of the font. Something that was reported to us and we made changes is the contrast of colors, right? So for example, here is black on dark green, not very visible.
That's a little tough, yeah.
But the thing is that you can actually change the settings and change the colors of these, category of events.
Sure.
We could almost, we could basically, let's do it very quickly. So you can go to settings, then here you go to events, and then you can configure the event categories. You see the board or committee meetings. You can come here and edit. And then when you're editing, you can actually choose the color and say, no, actually, I don't think there's much contrast there. I prefer like this light green. And we can keep the text color as a black and then save it. And then now, you have something that is more readable. And then if you go back to the calendar, now you can see your own color. So part of it, I get your point about us making it more readable here. We could maybe put it a little bigger.
Yeah.
And then in some ways, we also want to allow you to, work on contrast questions and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the colors work fine. That's great. I appreciate that. That works. I guess the other question I have, this has been a very nice seminar. If I wanted to, because I'm involved in this thing in our village, if I wanted to learn more about your system,
yes,
over and above this, is there a seminar that we could tune into or dial up or,
Yeah, can I ask you, Charles, right? Was that your name?
Yes.
Can I ask you where you're located and what village you're with?
Wider Horizons in Seattle.
Perfect. Yeah, so we have a large demo video that I can send your way that shows you an extensive demo. We have made quite a number of changes to the system and improvements since that demo has been recorded. However, we're also happy to schedule a private demo that would allow you to see the things that interest you in your village, and we can go through that and give you a customized.
Yeah. Sure, that'd be fine. So I'd welcome to see your current video, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think we can send your way a few resources also. Like, there is, Joanne mentioned that before, this training docs and training videos where you can also go back to previous webinars and, watch those. So do not hesitate to send us an email. You can send an email to contact@helpfulvillage.com, and then we'll get back to you with, additional resources.
Contacts at whom?
Contact at Helpful Village, or you can do Manuel at helpfulvillage.com.
Also, moving on, I saw a couple questions in the chat. One of them was asking the description for the rights management. That we do have a document in the Helpful Village Google Drive that does talk about the different rights and abilities that each rights manager gets with those certain rights, and they can be combined, things like that. So If you need a link to the Google Drive, shoot support@helpfulvillage.com an email, and we will get that your way. I also had someone ask a question about the online application. For those of you that are aware, our system, we have a built-in Helpful Village application for membership, for volunteers, as well as for providers. This enables, when someone were to come to this built-in application that Helpful Village has here, I was doing some testing, you're able to create an intro message, then we can come down, you're able to look at different memberships, and then you can choose additional questions. Our system then creates a profile in the system automatically. It shoots the interested prospect member or volunteer a confirmation email, and then it also shoots an email to the admin letting them know that an application has been submitted. I see Susan asked about that and that she didn't see it on their website. You can Slack me or email me, and I can give you the menu item or the link to this. It's membership/application form. So
One more question. Will this webinar be archived? One of our folks who couldn't make it this morning asked me to find out if this will be archived so she can go in and see it.
Yep. So I record every single webinar. I then post it on our Google Drive with a review of what we talked about, what the announcements were made, and so it's all on YouTube and on our YouTube channel. So I'll send you a follow-up email, Charles, with some of those resources.
Okay, great, terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Sydney.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Can I just ask for a clarification on two of the member-related settings?
Mm-hmm.
So my question would be, so on the setting where you allow the member to enter a request,
Mm-hmm.
but you want an admin to be able to, approve it.
Mm-hmm.
How does the admin know that those are there and sitting? Does it show up in the request list itself, or what?
Yeah, one of the settings, Carol, here is that you can send an email to the admin when there is a new service request. So that's one of the things. And the other thing is Sydney wanted to show you where to find those requested.
So as of right now, I think we only have one village that's using this setting, so there needs to be some improvements done to it. However, when you come here, as the status, one of them will be requested. So as admin, I'm able to see that Walter Mitty put in a requested status. It highlights it as a different red. I then, as an admin, need to go in, view it, make sure everything looks right. I then will edit it, come down here and move it to open to consider it approved. And then when I click save, the thing I'm going to let me make this open because it's in the past. Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's a very good thing.
Could we go back a little bit on this because
Yes.
showing that edit request, because I have an ongoing question about that.
yes.
Walter Mitty's request, if you go to edit, view rather, and then scroll down and let's see, all the way down, scroll down and edit the service request. Okay, now way down at the bottom there, it has volunteers from local villages.
Mm-hmm.
That's not checked.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean everybody will get it or not? All the villages will see it?
Yeah, so there are two things here. First, if you don't use this box and you save it, it will automatically make it available to the local village of the member, right? So let's say the member lives in downtown, it will get checked for him. And then if you want this service request to say, well, let's say this person was from downtown, so it will automatically go there, but you say, well, I wanted people to see it in downtown, but also in the Highlands, you can always overwrite that and do it, check.
Okay.
The other thing that is interesting is that from the volunteer profile, you can have also volunteers that see requests from other places. So it's a broader question.
Also, Joanne had a good point. I wanted to show everyone the Google Drive. I know we have some fresh faces here. So when I come here, this is the Helpful Village Google Drive. We see here, this is past presentations and meetings. So if I go ahead and click into here, you're able to look at all the past slides. You're able to see release notes from the previous, this year and previous years. you're able to look at the YouTube links for the recorded meetings. So when I open it here, we see our last meeting, we talked about executive reports and upgraded editor. And so then this new, this webinar that we're having right now, I will post the link and I will say that we talked about configuration and membership, things like that. Now and then you can see a list of villages that are currently operating. This is our security report. Now for training docs, you can come in here and then they are broken down into different groups. And right here is rights management, which I had mentioned earlier, actually. So here you were able to talk about, I've created a description saying how management works, what an admin is able to do, what a service request manager is able to do. And then I also talk about the email notifications, which Manuel had shown earlier now, that you can see who's receiving what emails when you come down here to the very bottom. So I will send a link to anyone who doesn't have this. I also have it posted on the Slack, but I figured I'd show everyone a little overview of what those look like.
So we can write you at contacts@Village to Village and you'll give us these links?
Yeah,
Okay.
contact at helpfulvillage.com.
Helpful Village, sorry.
But I believe I have your email, Charles, so I will do a follow-up.
All right, fair enough.
There's some other questions.
Yes, so one question about the Google Doc that we showed, the video. The other one was about the log list, right? So Diane asked this from Clayton Valley, I believe. We have villages make requests about improvements they want to see done. And then we obviously do our improvement based on those requests. This month, we were kind of a little bit, doing these large improvements that we just mentioned, like, putting the settings, rearranging things, etc. So those were not really like an improvement request. Like nobody said, well, rearrange the settings. We just felt that it was just more, just easier to use and more intuitive to improve the platform. So those did not have numbers, but every time that you have ideas or improvement requests, you can go on ask.helpfulvillage.com. They receive a number, and then when we do them, well, we report back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I know that, I know that we have about 10 minutes left, and I don't want to hold up anybody too long. So this is the part of the webinar where we'll now talk about what our team is working on during the month of November. So that way at the end of November, that will be included in that following release.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry, this is Margie. Could I ask for clarification on something Manuel just said? Did you say that now that you're reporting back to us when we put something into Ask? I mean, right now it just mirrors back what you asked. Is there any way to find out the status of the requests?
Margie, yes, I received your email a couple days ago. Yes, so actually there is a form or an Excel sheet, if you will, from the Google request that you're able to see what the status is, when things have been completed. I was moving them into a new sheet on that. I will send you a link to that. It's also on Slack, but if anyone wants to see the overall list, I can shoot them that.
And where is it found on Slack?
It is in, I believe, on the channel that says improvement ideas. I will, however, I'll shoot you an email with the link, and then I'll repost it on Slack as well this afternoon for everyone.
Thank you.
So I have a question.
Yes.
This is Carol from Clayton Valley. I sent you, Manuel, an email with a new header graphic for our homepage, and you very nicely put it up for us, but we didn't understand how we could change that again, because you said in your instructions to go into the contact page, and this was on our welcome page, and that was confusing.
It's something we changed this month on this release, right? So before, you would go, this is demo.
I know, but it's not there anymore, so I can show how it used to be. Right?
You can show how it used to be. No, I've been on the hill. You need to take another one because they have the new one, or maybe not. So basically, Carol, coming back to you, it was the logo. We were doing that before from the contact form because you had your contact form. Are you looking at the screen right now?
Yes.
And then basically there was a button here where you could edit the contact form, right?
Right.
And change your address. And the logo was edited from here, which was a little weird because why from the contact form, right? So.
Oh, header image. Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
see.
actually, you know what? You don't need to worry too much about that because if you go to the demo site that we showed today, on the new release, it's coming to a much more, organized position. So you go to settings and then you go to website, and now under website, there is the same settings are here under logo and layout. So we just, you raised a very good question about where is it? We're not able to find it, probably because we needed to redesign the settings so that they are in a much more comprehensible location.
Okay.
Perfect.
So my first thought was that I would go to the welcome page, which is where the header is, because that header doesn't show up anyplace else except the welcome page.
Right.
That's where I wanted it.
You're right. And then you're right. It's a good idea. When you go here to the homepage, we like putting here the button that has the, the edit homepage. We could add probably a second button here that says edit the header page, and we'll take you to the settings page. So
that would be good.
Idea. Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, bringing it back. MailChimp syncing improvements. So these will be things that our team will be working on in the next month. Manuel had already mentioned that we are diving deep into MailChimp and making sure that works more smoothly, more information, more power to the admin. Also, there will be continued improvements to the customizable settings, which we just showed you. So they'll be continued to make, as Manuel mentioned, I will be working on the verbiage of that, so that way it's a little bit more clear and more layman's terms, if you will. Membership revamp. I know we promised this last month. Our tech team was not able to get to it, but we are working to build a grace period that allows expired members 30 more days to still request service requests, have access to members only features, things like that.
While they're renewing, for some time. Perfect.
Also, this is also a huge priority, I know, for so many villages, is having a mailing label report. And what it does is then it groups households and people and their mailing address, and also having a complete alternative mailing address, such as like PO boxes, things like that. So our team is working on that. We wanted to have it done this month, but we ended up focusing so heavily on the configuration and customizable settings. So, and with that, we have some news. For those of you who know, I have been with Helpful Village for a year, and I am sad to be saying that I will be leaving Helpful Village at the end of the week. So moving forward, the Helpful Village team will be taking over the processes and the things that we have done together. So my email will then be forwarded. So if you do email me after Friday, my email will then be forwarded to support@helpfulvillage.com. And that will be, I would say, the main contact information to use. I know I got to meet so many of you, and it's been a pleasure. So thank you.
Yes, so I wanted to say back here that, it has been a pleasure to work with Sydney. It's not a year, a little more, 14 to 15 months. It's, I believe, her first job after college. And we had a formidable chance to work with such a professional that has done so much. Over the last year that she has been with us, we have doubled the number of villages we help. Customer service went from almost okay to
not okay.
best in the world customer service we can have. And, we are super grateful for everything she has done. We wish her the best. And have no worries that she have a wonderful career. Essentially, the thing I wanted to say is that we are very excited about the progress we have made. And we want to keep growing. Today we have about 70 villages. I think this would be a different story, if we can keep growing and have a more solid financial, foundation and such. Basically, what I want to say is that we keep with the team working hard. We are doing interviews with a new person that's coming in that would be almost as good as Sydney, and so that there will be a new person joining the team for that. We keep improving the software and taking this project forward. But what I want to let you know is that we are excited. We believe the village movement and Helpful Village can grow to, you know, hundreds of villages, if it's not thousands of villages across the U.S. That is and has always been our mission. And the day when we hit our 500 village under Helpful Village, I promise you, I'll send her an email and say, hey, this is something where we need more of your help. And, you know, it's hopefully, you know, she has a great continuation. And from the Helpful Village team, you know, we keep on going. And then next month we have these huge improvements. As we said before, we have a number of very large technical improvements with the new tech person that joined. And we have a new customer person that will be joining over the next few weeks. So, you know, we keep up the fight. The show must go on. And thank you all for supporting us and, you know, being such a great community. I know that this is not only a job for Sydney. We have, you know, been to different places, met so much people, and there is so many community leaders in all of the villages across the country that was warming our hearts every day, every week, every month. So that kept us going. And so we just wanted to say thank you, Sydney, for everything that you have given us, and to the villages, so that you keep up the good work, and we will push this forward. Thank you very much. Maybe I have another request before we move. It's like, you know, now I think I wanted to do something funny for Sydney, but if you want to unmute, I think she deserves a big round of applause. And I start.
Good luck, Sydney. Good luck.
Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you. It's been
Congratulations.
Joanne. Thank you, Manuel. It's been a great year.
What a great team.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Well, it's been unbelievable getting to meet and know all of you, and I am the biggest cheerleader for villages and what you are doing. And it is hard to be a leader and a shaker and an innovator. All of you are that, and it's incredible. And it's inspiring, and I can't wait to see you know, where the future takes you all. So,
Yeah, well, you're going to be missed, and we really enjoyed having you there.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
I can see the chat is on fire. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So definitely, we need to, you know, we need more great people in the village movement, and you know, we'll keep pushing forward. So thank you, Sydney, for everything.
So yeah, great. That was a fabulous webinar. To round it up, email support@helpfulvillage.com. I will post the links for this meeting, the recordings, all that. And if anyone has any questions, you can catch me until Friday. So
Thank you.
it was great seeing you all. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, God, we're losing Sydney.
Really, so sad. Don't cry.